Hi there. Welcome back to the Guru podcast. This episode marks the 13th episode in this series. With respect to this episode, this is the first time I've had a chance to interact with a pilot who was a rotor wing pilot instead of a fixed wing pilot. Additionally, he spent quite a bit of time in the Austrian Air Force and is currently working as a EMS rescue pilot in Austria. My next guest here is Mr. Klaus Reiner, who is a highly skilled and highly experienced helicopter pilot. Additionally, he will be a part of Mr. Otter's crew, who I had interviewed in the previous episode. In this conversation, we got a chance to talk about uh, the helicopters he has flown, the helicopter he is currently flying, and what uh, his job as an Air Force pilot entailed and what his current job entails. I hope all of you enjoy the next episode of this podcast. And just as before, I have a humble request to all the viewers of this podcast to please subscribe to the channel, as it will enable me to invite more and more guests in the show. I hope all of you enjoy the 13th episode of the Guru podcast. And additionally, this episode will mark the seventh country which I have been able to have, like the seventh nationality I've been able to have on this podcast. Through the course of this podcast, I've had a chance to interview people from all over the world. The United States of America, India, Canada, Hong Kong, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and now Austria. The podcast is really, truly becoming global. I hope all of you enjoy this next episode. And in the comment section, please do let me know of what you think. Thank you. Okay, so recording is started. So welcome to the podcast, Mr. Klaus. It's truly an honor to have you with us today. So before we dive into our discussion, I'm just going to provide a glimpse into your remarkable journey. Mr. Klaus has had an illustrious career spanning over 14 years as a helicopter pilot in the Austrian Air Force. And you've not only served as a proficient aviator, but you've also served as a flight instructor in the Austrian Air Force. For the past 24 years, you've been a beacon of hope as an EMS rescue pilot, dedicating yourself to saving lives in critical situations. Moreover, your forthcoming role as a member of Mr. Boris Otter's crew in his visionary private space missions underscores your pioneering spirit and adaptability. Your involvement shaping the future of space travel is nothing short of inspiring. For our listeners, we'll link your description, your Instagram page below. And I'll just also link Mr. Otter's private space organization's link as well. So thank you so much, Mr. Klaus, for giving us your time, and we can begin.
Hey, thank you for your invitation. It is an honor for me to join your podcast, especially to India. It is the first contact with Indian, so I'm very excited to see you, and thank you for contacting me. It is really an honor for me. Thank you.
Thank you. So the first question, I usually like to ask everyone is who comes on the show is what inspired your decision to embark on a career with the Austrian Air Force, specifically as a helicopter pilot?
I don't believe it was a lucky choice. When I was a young boy, 18 years, I joined the army. It is normal in Austria that you go to the army, to the armed forces with 18, after your school time, after your education. So 6 months is the minimum you have to stay in the armed forces to serve for our country. Then you can go further with your career. And so my plan was to go to the police to be a cop, like a motorcycle cop. That was my first choice with a friend to join after the armed forces, the police school. And so before I left the army always asked the young people who are health enough to have the level 9 of the health scale. So you, if you want to join the helicopter training school. And so a friend of mine motivated me to join the school. But there's a step. You have to go to the selection, you know. And we are 700 people to go to the selection 1985, and only 7 people are become a pilot. So every 100 people, or man or woman, get the pilot license. So that was my choice. It was, I think, a lucky choice, a lucky choice, a lucky moment in my life.
Okay. And so, like I already mentioned, you were a helicopter pilot. And so, like, what are some of the key performance variables which influence helicopter operations, like particularly when you're navigating through challenging environments like mountainous terrain or cold weather? And Austria is particularly known for mountainous terrain and cold weather as well.
Yeah, the army time. So in the 1985 to 2000, this was my time in the army. At that time, we don't use GPS navigation. It was not available. So we used the old school maps, you know, street maps and maps showing the country, the railways, the streets, and so on. And we have to navigate with the charts. So you always have a look outside. Is there a street? Is there crossing the railway? Is there the same mark on the map? And then you are on the right way. And you have to make a flight planning, you know, with time, with your heading, with wind direction. You have to make the fuel planning and so on. So you have to make very carefully planning. Also, when you fly in the Alps, because of the high mountain landing, you have a little bit less power to the thin air. And when I moved forward to the EMS Rescue Service, there are modern helicopters, and so since 2000 that's changing. And since that time, I fly with GPS. It makes the work much more easier, you know, to find the correct way. You find your rescue mission point, whatever you want.
Okay. And like, could you just maybe elaborate on like the specific adjustments or preparations required for flights under such conditions, like just to ensure safety or efficiency? Like, what sort of preparations or like do you and your co-pilot have to make before going on a flight?
You mean going flight during the military time?
Yeah, like even yeah, we can start off with your military time.
In military time, it's a little bit different. You got training missions. I was in a real combat mission. It was a defense situation, 1991, during the Yugoslavia war. If you remember, it was 1991. The Yugoslavia territory broke in some parts. There was a border war, and the border war was on the borderline of Austria, on South Austria. And so we got the mission order to defend the border. So for this mission, you have really to take careful, make a flight preparation. Where can you fly? Where's the border? We are protected from jets flying above us. We have to speak with the ground forces, so you don't get into the friendly fire. We have also to speak with the Slovenian forces. They protect the border to the Austria territory. Could be the enemy is going the way about our territory. This was our mission to protect this territory. So you have to make a very carefully plan. So as a captain, pilot in command, you have the decision for all these rules, for these weather conditions, for flight planning, for where's the enemy or foe area, and all these kind of things. And there's a little bit difference between military and EMS. EMS, we get the order from our rescue coordination center, very modern. We got a signal like a SMS, short message directly in our navigation system. And I have no a co-pilot. I have a paramedic, a HEMS crew member beyond me, and behind me there's sitting the doctor, the emergency doctor. So we are only 3 persons on board. And when we got this message, this mission order, the co-pilot or the the rescue men have only to activate the macro, only yes, we accept the mission. And the GPS is going directly in the right direction what we need. And in the military time, we use the old charts, so we have to be very careful with the planning. And the US Army, I know they are using a simulator. When you make a mission in a foreign countries, they are not unknown country. They are using a Google simulator or a territory simulator. They fly these missions several times with a simulator. And this is also with use also in the EMS system. I was last month. I was 2 times in a simulator. I was by the ADSC. This is like the same company as our company, a little bit bigger in Germany, and we have a contract with them to use the simulator. And so we pilots have every 6 months we have a simulator training, emergency training, also flying in unconditional weather conditions, like you go in IMC. That this means you lose the contact to the outside, to the ground, and then you have to fly the instruments, and you have to rescue the helicopter and the person inside, which you make an ILS approach on the next big airfield. And to use these systems and the equipment and so on, to have to train it so you are prepared in case you need it. And in the military time, that was an old helicopter. This was a model OH-58. It was a combat helicopter with a minigun. And my mission role in the army time was to protect the transport helicopter. So doing air transport with troops, we get we protect them in the doing the flight and doing also in the landing area. That was my mission role in the US Army, in the Austrian Army.
So I just have a few follow-up questions, like based on what you said. So, like, what helicopter are you currently flying, though, as a part of your EMS rescue service?
Yes, before the EMS, I'm flown in the army the OH-58. This was this combat model. This was a US model from Bell helicopter. Then I flew the 206. This was a military model, like a little bit a civilian, because we needed for training the basic training for our helicopter pilots. During my time as a flight instructor in our army, and during the time I was in the army from 1995 to 2000, from 1992 to 2000, this was my first contact with the civil aviation. I joined a small company next to the military work in my free time, and then I've flown the ES 350 Equirail, called in America called the A-Star, also used in your area for the mountains, Himalaya, transport persons and equipment and so on. Yes, and this was my first contact with the civil aviation, flying, passengers, filming, equipment, and so on.
Okay.
And now
And yeah.
I'm sorry,
Uh,
and additional to the types. Now in our company, I fly the German helicopter from Helicopter Airbus Industries. The Eurocopter 135 is a twin-engine helicopter with two a double 800 PS, so we have 1,600 PS horsepower with a four-blade rotor modem system. It's a typical EMS helicopter using worldwide.
okay. And just one other, I had two more questions. So, like for fixed, now I'm more, let's say, well versed with fixed wing aviation rather than rotorcraft. But one thing I hear a lot from pilots again and again is like the importance of situational awareness and like having a good sense of spatial orientation. And you just talked about instrument meteorological conditions and um, how do you train for like spatial, like making sure that you're very well spatially oriented and you have a good sense of situational awareness, considering like you are involved in situations which require you to act very, very fast. So how do you train for that?
Yes. At first, if you go to the army, the army have enough people to want to join the army, the flying forces of the army. So they can choose about 700 people. They choose out seven. Because why? Because these seven people have the conditions, but the conditions is a gift from God, You are health, you are a very smart thinking, fast thinking, and under pressure, you make decision making. It is very important for a pilot to be workable in dangerous or situation. You have to decide very quickly to find the right decision. So how can you train it? That is the first to get a selection positive to get to the pilot training. But during the pilot training or after the pilot training, when you are a full combat ready pilot, you have always training, and the training is needs. We was in Germany in a centrifuge, a centrifuge, a special disorientation centrifuge. And so they show us when you are flying in clouds and you don't see nothing, that your feeling is, you cannot trust your feeling, because you think you're flying horizontal level out, in a steady level flight, but it is not right. Could be you are in the left, you go left down, and then you lose the control of the helicopter and you fall out of the clouds and you have a crash. And so you can train it if you go quickly on instruments, so not visual. We go on instruments and we don't trust our feeling, we only trust the instruments. So we have a horizon, we have a speed indication, we have a vertical speed indication, we have an altitude, and so on. And you trust these instruments and you fly the helicopter instruments in clouds, and then you are safe. And this is what we are training in the simulator, to have no accident when you are go undetended in IMC.
Okay. And in IMC, in IMC, can you auto land a helicopter? Is that option there, or is that like only available for like airplanes?
You mean, you mean, oh, if I'm flying helicopter and planes too?
So like in airplanes, especially in like northern regions, like in Canada and many European countries, like sometimes the visibility can be so low due to like fog or like heavy snow. Like they used the ILS like auto land system. So in helicopters as well, do you have the auto land function in case you cannot see the ground?
The equipment of the cockpit is nearly the same in a jet or in a business jet or in a small airplane. It is nearly the same cockpit. You have always used the same parameter, like speed, altitude, vertical speed, and so on. But the jets or the business jets or the big helicopters or the aviation jets, the airliner, they are using anti-de-icing systems. But it needs more electrical power and systems like air pressure, that you can remove the ice from the wings. But our helicopter, the small helicopter, so from EMS below to my helicopter I've flown in the army, they have no anti-ice systems. So it was not allowed to fly in icy conditions. Could be in clouds. You have always ice. And so I'm flying now 38 years and always really avoiding to fly in clouds. I was never in clouds.
Okay, okay, I see. And I'm just a little bit curious to like just talk about. I just want to learn a little bit more about your experiences as a flight instructor. Like, could you just expand on these specifics of the role, such as instructional methods you employed, the subjects you taught, and some of the challenges you encountered while mentoring aspiring pilots?
So at 1986, I was in the military basic training, and so 1989 I was combat ready. And so 1992, after 5 6 years, the squadron commander decided to make me to a flight instructor. So you go to the back to the basic school, and you make the course for to get the training for a flight instructor. After these months of training, a lot of theory, how to make a presentation, how to work with young students, and so on. you go back to the military helicopter basic training school, and then you got your first 5 students. And the mission was to bring 2 of them to a young pilot. And military basic training after 1 year on the flight school on a fixed wing is 1 year helicopter basic training. And so from these 4 or 5 young students, it was important to get 2 through the examination. So they got to young pilots, and then you got graduated to a flight instructor. To work as a flight instructor in the army, it is it is an army. So you have to be like a father, not too not, and so but you cannot be a friend. You are instructor, and they are young people, 20 years old, could maximum is 24 years old. So this is the limit to get a military pilot, 24 years old by the start of the beginning of the education, of the training. And so you spend a lot of time with them. You make sport, you make educations, you go flying, you make a briefing, you make a debriefing. And after 9 months, you know these people. And most of these people are friends of mine the whole life, because they're flying also in my company. So in my company, the flight operation chief deputy is also a young student of mine. And so it is very exciting to see that they've grown up to a really professional pilot and so on. And the normal work of a flight instructor is 8 to 16, 8 to 4, so 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in the afternoon is a normal school time, with you make lessons with them, aerodynamic instruments, and about the helicopter, about the rules and so on. You have to prepare these lessons. You make these lessons, you prepare tests, and then you go fly. You make a briefing, you make a debriefing. You have to give a graduate every lessons, and it is a work like a teacher in a school, the same preparation, but only to fly helicopter. So after 9 months, he can fly. After 9 months, he is ready for the examination, and he is a minimum pilot. It is the first step. He's a pilot in command, but he's not combat ready. After 1 year in our basic training, he goes in the squadron, and next 2 years, so after 4 years, he's combat ready because he have low-level flight training. I've also trained high mountains landing, formation flight, outside landing, night flight, flight with night vision goggles, with the to see in the night. You can make outside landings, and also on the combat helicopter, the air to ground fire. So you need a lot of education, a lot of training. About 4 years, you are combat ready, and this is the work of our teacher to prepare these lessons, make these lessons with the young students until they get from a school flying boy up to a combat ready military pilot. And it is a very exciting time. I enjoy this really.
Okay. And so the Austrian Air Rescue Service is renowned for its efficiency. I was just going through, I just doing some research on it, and the Air Rescue Service is known to be very efficient. Could you just maybe walk us through the typical procedures followed, what happens at the start of the mission and at the end of the mission?
Einmal auf.
So until yesterday, I was on duty. So it's the first time I'm free. I was 7 days on duty, and yesterday I'm flown 5 missions. Approximately flight time 5.5 hours through the whole day. I was eight hours not on my base because flying missions to the hospital, primary missions, heavy insured patient, intensive patient from hospital to hospital, or pick up on a car accident in the outside area and so on. So we are sitting, could be on a breakfast in the morning, but we are mission ready after checking the helicopter, checking the weather conditions, checking my personal equipment and so on. We got a mission order. The mission order, I told you before, is directly going delivered to our GPS navigation system. So we took out the helicopter, or he's already outside of the hangar. Then we have a short briefing, weather is okay. Is there anything to for a phone call because of could be to the rescue coordination center or to the hospital? Is there special equipment needed? We also fly small babies, we need a big transport system for a breathing system and so on. And so we have 1 minute time to find out this special kinds. Then we go to the helicopter. The doctor is going in beyond me in the cabin, and the crew member is staying outside and watching my engine start. So for safety reasons, so nobody goes to my tail rotor. My engine is start on very well. There's no smoke, there's no fire, and so on. And I start the engine, give via radio with radio communication in contact, and you get the order to go in the helicopter, fasten seat belts, and then we make a takeoff briefing, and then I make a call to the ATC for departure clearance from a small airfield, and during the time the organoid system is full ready, and he only have to press the push button, macro activate, and we have the direct course to our accident area or hospital or whatever we have to go in order of our rescue coordination center. So yesterday I flew 5 missions during the whole day, and after the mission you have to refuel the helicopter, you have to clean the helicopter, you have to refuel also the medical equipment, and then you have to make to fill out online. It is like an intranet, our protocol, flight times, the name of the patient, and the doctor is fill out all the things about the diagnosis of the patient. And after we finish this work, this have to go to our office for refund the mission. Could be from the government, could be from the patient, could be from the insurance. So this is the normal workflow over the day.
Okay. And this is just like a little bit of I just have a little bit of a difficult question for you. So, I mean, obviously you're dealing with human lives, you're saving lives because, I mean, your work directly enables doctors to save their lives. You're cutting down the commute time. So how does this like affect you emotionally and or psychologically? And what has been like your most dramatic or emotional rescue mission so far?
So I'm flying 38 years now, 38 years, my whole life. I'm 58 years old and I'm flying since I'm 20. So the 14 years in the army time, it is a normal flying time. It is like training, But in the EMS, it is a hard work, It is real work. It is real mission, real people, real insured. It is there are many families affected if the father has an accident or whatever. And I have 9,000 missions, and I have not a big heart, And I don't remember these all kind of missions. I don't remember specifically or 5 or 10 missions, because they are remarkable, and they have no effect of me. Important of me is I fly safe the helicopter and bring my doctor and my crew member to the people they need help. That is my job. That is very important. And the next is I fly the helicopter safe at home, so nobody's insured of my crew. and the helicopter is not crashed. This is my main goal. So to bring the medicine to the patient and bring my crew and the helicopter safely back home. That is my main goal. And I'm not affected emotionally because I have to be a little bit separated. You know, I'm normally when I'm landing on the rescue area, I stay by the helicopter because we have to watch to take care of the helicopter. We have very expensive equipment there, and so we always stay by the helicopter. So I don't see the accident area next to me, you know, like the doctor. The doctor is really working on the patient. He makes a reanimation, he makes a, you know, makes a breathing and could be emergency surgery on the place and so on. And so he's much more involved, much more also emotionally involved. Our company offered us a telephone number. So if we got a problem with this kind of emergency situations and with our missions, we are kindly requested to contact this phone number. It is like a doctor, you know, you can talk with this psychological doctor about this mission. It is absolute anonym, you know, it's anonym. It is only an offer of our company to get a little bit of help. But normally it is enough. You talk about with our friends, with our crew members, you know, by a coffee. What do you mean about this mission? What is going good? What is going well? And normally we don't find out what is further happens with the patient. So we bring the patient in life to the hospital, and so we lose the contact to the patient. So we don't get any further information because of the protecting of the personal data, not more. And so I think, but I have a remarkable mission. So 10 years ago, I was on a high mountain rescue mission on the Großglockner. So it's the highest mountain in Austria, approximately 4,000 meters high, 12,000 feet. It's not so high we like the Nepal and Indian Himalaya massive, but it is also difficult for the helicopter. And there were two mountains climber, and one of them is falling down, but it was on the same hook. The rope was on the same hook. So one was not insured, and the other one was insured. They have a broken bone in the face and so on. And so we have to rescue both. And so I take my crew member without a doctor because it was only a crash, a very quick rescue mission from this mountain. You know, it was a very there was no standing area, only a rope, a sling operation, human external cargo. We use a 40 meters rope. We have special equipment and special training for this. And we are very professional in this kind of operation. And so we rescue these both people, bring one of them to the hospital, and the next was not insured. He going home. Next day, the not insured visit his friend in the hospital and visit me to say thank you for the rescue mission. And he was so impressed about this mission. And that he said, Klaus, I am so impressed of this rescue mission. I will go to America to make the private helicopter license to become a professional helicopter pilot like you. And I wish him good luck. And 5 years later, I got a letter from Honolulu, from Hawaii, with a photo, a picture of him. He was flight instructor. He was ready. He was a professional pilot. I was really excited. I sent it to my company press. And so since that time, we are friends. And this Mr. Johannes Gruber is flying now in Dubai on a Bell 412 helicopter for business flight and so on. And we are always in contact, make FaceTime, and you know, and there are other really heartwarming situations. So the 1st January this year, I remember the 1st January, I am flown to a hospital. There was the parents, the father, the mother, and there was the small child, 1 day old, 1 day just born, and have a major problem. And we have to fix this problem and to take with the incubator system, that is a heating system for the little babies, to bring them in a heating environment to the next hospital to get the better help. And it needs a long time to fix this baby. And during the time I was with the parents. Normally I'm by the helicopter, but at that special day I was by the parents. And so I have a talk with the parents. and doc, they are professional. Don't be worried. The baby will be fine after 3 weeks. After we're flying in a better hospital, they get a very good supporting and so on. And 1 month later, I got an email from the mother with a photo from the baby. The photo is alive, and she wrote to me. She apologized that you find out my email address, but you want to say thank you with the photo of the baby, and she was thankful about my talking with the parents. So so speak with them, and so I take the fear of them, and they were very thankful.
Yeah. Yeah. Any sort of job, I would say, even if you're not a doctor, but you're somehow involved in the medical field, it is definitely a very, very rewarding position for sure. Um, and so just kind of looking into the sorry, did you have something to say?
I hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. So just like looking into the future, like what are some like emerging technologies or trends you see with helicopters and particularly in like Austrian helicopter operations or in search and rescue or mountain flight?
In, what is going on with the helicopter, with the equipment in the future from the past? Um, the technology is always increasing. So in the 1985, every 20 years a new helicopter model, or every 10 years a new medical staff equipment. But today, every 2 year, a new helicopter model, a new cockpit, new technology, a new medical staff equipment, whatever. So the industry is delivering every year, every 2 year, new models, new equipment, and you have to take care that you are always on the list and the latest state of the art. Our company is always watching the market, what is important for us, what is new, what is helpful. We are using very modern helicopters. The Eurocopter helicopter from Airbus Helicopter Industry is called Eurocopter 135, and the cockpit is changing. I'm flown the old one in the army, with like clocks, many clocks.
Yes.
No, and then I go to the EMS. Then we have a glass cockpit, with screens and some clocks. And I was by the ADC training center on the simulator, flowing the AFCS. This is an autopilot flight control system with 3 axes. And I was in Linz last week by the second session about our brand new helicopter. This is a helionics model. So you have only three screens, and the helicopter is equipped with a 4X autopilot system. So the helicopter is able to fly off its own like a drone. So when I make a departure, so it could be 3 feet high, so 1 meter, and I press a double click on my stick, the helicopter is hovering off its own like a drone. And with my thumb, I can give a signal, 1 click to the left, 1 meter to the left, 1 click to the right, 1 click to the right. Also with the left thumb, so I can make a spin, make a circle. And if I want to make a departure with full autopilot, I take a push button and scroll up to 120 feet. This is the takeoff decision point, and press the push button, and the helicopter is lifting up to 120 feet. Then I press the go round button. The helicopter is departing around. Also can make the landing of automatically. You can use these systems. You don't need it because I'm a pilot from the old school. I can fly every helicopter, but you can use it in special situations, like a brownout situation. I saw videos of the US Army. They are landing in the sand of a desert. Then you have the dust, and the pilot see nothing. Then you can use this autopilot equipment. Also in the wintertime in the Alps. The same situation with snow. The snow is increasing your view. You don't see nothing, and it could be it is like the IMC condition, and you lose the control of the helicopter. Then you can use this equipment. So you see, we are always ready for new systems, we make training, we buy the systems, we integrate it in our company, and so it makes our company or our EMS service so efficiently.
Okay. But so that just kind of reminded me, like I was recently talking to another pilot, and he was saying like due to the rise in automation across the world, we don't really talk about like pilots are losing their flying skills. I mean, not necessarily losing their flying skills, but they're relying more and more on technology. And uh, I'm just in touch with the flight school, and they're saying like whenever they train pilots, until they get to their instrument rating, they train them with analog instruments. So, like based on what you've seen, is this like a concern for you that young pilots are becoming more and more reliant on like glass cockpits rather than the traditional gas gauge instruments, or like you're fine with this?
It's a very good question. We always talking about doing the breakfast in the morning or during the day when we have time, because there's a time changing now. So at my military time, we're flying old helicopters with no support in the battles for the tail rotor control. The new helicopter models have automatical tail rotor control. So the pilot only flying the new models, they are not able to fly without the support of the autopilot battle control. So if the autopilot failed, you have an emergency. And we
Mhm.
talk about this. So I'm flying the old models. I can fly with autopilot or without autopilot. It doesn't depend on me. I fly both types. And the new helicopter pilots of the Austrian Army, they're flying now. They bought a 36 helicopter. You know the Italian model of Leonardo called A AW169er. It's a very modern helicopter, and have also a 4X autopilot like our new models, and have a full automatical control of the heck rotor pedals. And I talk with the flight instructor for military. How do you don't train with a smaller helicopter? He said, we only have the modern helicopters. It is you don't need to fly with a lower equipped helicopter. So when you go to the military basic training school, you're flying the fixed wing aircraft for 1 year, and then you go to Viboreto, to Italian, to Italy, to go to the simulator session to make the e-learning system, and then to go flying with the new helicopter. He only is trained to fly with autopilot controlled systems. Could be it could be interesting if the autopilot is failed.
Yeah.
I'm sure on the simulator they will train it. They will train the situation. The autopilot is have a problem and you have no battle control. I'm sure that pilots are able to control the helicopter without the autopilot because we are training too. But this is a changing time because of the brand new helicopters in all companies. They deliver
Yeah.
only very smart helicopters, which is a very exciting time. I'm open-minded for this. I'm driving an old school motorcycle. Could be driving a new one. I'm flying the old helicopters, also the brand new one. I'm open-minded for all the systems, and the system is always evolving in the new modern times.
Um, and so like what was like the process you used for like transit like what was your process like transitioning from the Air Force to civilian flying? Like was it at all different, or was there just like a little bit of a learning curve?
Um, this was first a personal process. So when I was 15 years in the army, it was always training, except the one mission, the border protecting. And so you are a typical army pilot over the whole world is always in a training situation. Training, training, training. 2% is mission and 98% is training. So when you're grown up as a pilot, you want to have missions, you know? And so then you are starting thinking about another work situation. And a friend of mine, a squadron, a colleague, is moving forward to the EMS Rescue Service, ÖMTC Rescue Service of my company. And then I was thinking about, okay, there's another job too, could be interesting. And in the year 2000, the Austrian territory was in the half, in the half, they're working our helicopters, and the other half they're working the police helicopters in the EMS rescue service. In 2000, the government decides to give all in private hand with a government contract. So at that time, the EMS rescue service EMTC needs much more pilots, and this was the correct time for me to go to the next selection. This was my second selection, and then I go to the selection. I was all a very good selection. I was at the first 6 pilots to get this new job, and the process. This was the personal process, and the practical process was to get a type rating by test pilots in Germany by the company, by Helicopter Airbus Industries. It was a 2 weeks type rating. 1 week was theoretical lessons, and 1 week was practical lessons. And it was a big step, from the old helicopter to this modern helicopter. It was a process of learning, of practical doing, and so on. And then we got 3 weeks, 3 weeks on duty with an experienced pilot of our company. You're flying like a co-pilot, so you're flying as a pilot, but on the co-pilot seat was an experienced pilot, and he's watching you, giving you tips, giving you corrections, and so it was like on the work training, 3 weeks, some theoretical lessons, and then you got the final check flight with the flight operation chiefs, and then you got full mission ready for EMS. This process was approximately 3 months. The conversion from the military to the EMS rescue service was approximately 3 months needs. And then since that time, I'm flying as a professional helicopter. I've EMS pilot with 9,000 rescue missions. I have 42,000 starts and landings and over 9,000 flight hours. Yes, so it's a lot of time.
Okay. And so you were you said earlier that you have a paramedic on board, you have a doctor on board. Like, how do you communicate with them? Like, how do you coordinate a mission? Like, how does that work?
Yes, we have standard operation procedures in all our doing. So when you got a mission, when you prepare the helicopter, when you start the helicopter, when you're flying the helicopter on board, so we have special orders, remember, engine 1 and 2 are running, you get in. Then the doctor said, cabin ready. The paramedic says, paramedic ready. And then I make my departure check briefing. I make the ATC clearance and so on. On the mission, on the flight to the mission, we make what is the name of this? A mission check, then make a pre-landing check, after landing check. We have a special operator procedures. So we have a wording, so that we only talk about on board things about they are useful for the mission, not unnecessary talking. Of course, if you're going a long distance, we can also talk what was yesterday in the cinema, or what will you do next week in the holiday. We have time for this, but could be the mission is so nearby our airport, could be only 7 flight minutes, then you have no time for private talking, only mission talking, standard operation procedure talking. And they are well trained. We have an own training center, this Air Rescue College team. We have over our all teams, we have 500 doctors and crew members and 75 pilots. We are a big company with 32 helicopters. 18 are in operation during the whole year, 3 of them 24 hours. The other helicopters from sunrise to sundown, so from morning to the evening. And my helicopter is flying every day, also in the night to 9 o'clock in the evening, also in the winter time with the night vision goggles. And we have a special training center. They have an overlay about every person in our company, and they knows what you need for training. The doctor needs a special training, the crew member needs a special training, the pilots need special training, and we need training all together too. We have crew resource management training to get a good experience and a good environment on board, personal environment. So when we are stressed, you don't see that I'm stressed. It's very important that the captain is always calm down. If the captain is stressed, the crew is stressed. And we have this external sling operation. We have the simulator training. We have medical training for the doctors with small childs, with grown-up people, whatever. We have alpine training, mountains training. We have a lot of theory training, and this training is a must. If you missed one training, you cannot get on the schedule on the duty schedule. So the system is blocked you. So you have to do this training. And my work is since my whole life, since 38 years, my work is always a recurrent training. In a recurrent training, every 6 months, have a medical check. I have the simulator training. I have a written test, with a e-learning on a personal computer, and all other sorts of training we have to do.
Okay. Okay. And so I just want to talk about the private space missions you will be embarking on with Mr. Boris Otter and some of his crew members. So what I believe you're going to be going on SST-6 and SST-3 with Mr. Otter whenever the time comes. So what are your responsibilities going to be for these missions?
Responsibility is to be the commander for the SST-6 mission 1 and SST-6 mission 2. I'm the backup commander if Boris Otter is dismissed because of a medical reason in the starting procedure. So it is necessary that when the rocket is full ready for the start into the space, I'm also there, make the training, make the preparation, and be full ready until the door is locked and Boris Otter is lifting up into the space. So we have 3 missions, SST-6-1, SST-6-2, always manned with 6 people, women and men. And Boris Otter is of both the commander and I'm the backup commander. And this is a private funded space mission. We are not NASA, we are not ESA. So it is like the difference between a private pilot and a military pilot. The military pilot gets well paid for the training, and the civil pilot have to pay for the training. And here's the same. The NASA get paid for the astronauts, but we have to pay for this shoot into the space. So we need sponsor partners and so on. And so we got not enough money for the first shoot. We take all this, what we reached for and founded for, to the second shoot. So then we have the 12 people gone. Then we have the next chance is the third chance. We reduce the team to 3 people. Boris Otter, the commander, Alex McHale, this is an American Black Hawk colleague. This is a Black Hawk pilot of the US Coast Guard and test pilot. And Rainer Klaus, my person, EMS pilot. So only we 3 are the third mission. It is the mission sign you can see on my jacket. And you see the other signs here. The other signs here, first,
Yes.
1 and 2. And so the time schedule is 25 to 27. And then Boris Otter have to decide, we got not enough money. But there's a strategy. We create a public interest with talking with you. It is very exciting for me to talk because you're a big country, a huge country with 1 billion on people. Didn't see a posting on Instagram or Facebook. I don't know if you follow me. I was in April, had an invitation to go to Washington for promotion into the Embassy of Austria. I dressed as smoking like James Bond. It was so an exciting time in Washington. And I was so really thankful to make this mission. I also promoted, I have a sponsor contract with a clock manufacturer, Jacques Clement, and with a dress of aeronautical fashion. So I make promotion, make photos. I want to create a public interest to get the attention of big sponsor partners. That is the strategy. And when we got the fund of money, we make our preparation like training and so on. And this year is the media work time. Next year is training time. And then we get the 3 shoots. Every year a shoot, hopefully.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, like how did you come to know Mr. Otter? Like what was the process of becoming a part of his crew? And like how did you get to know him in this whole process?
Since 2003, I was a normal Facebook user. I have no Instagram. I was a normal Facebook user. But I got a lot of information about aviation, about space. I love music, jazz music. I'm a saxophone player, about motorcycles, the typical stuff. And sometimes in the autumn last year, I got the announcement of Boris Otter. They are searching for a one mission backup commander. 11 people are nominated, and one crew member is open. And I thought to myself, "Oh, Klaus, there are so many people writing to Mr. Boris Otter. Why they choose me?" And then I think about my coffee. Klaus, right, this is my third selection, my third selection. And so I write Mr. Boris Otter my biography. I'm a military pilot. I'm a EMS pilot, a little bit mountain experience. I was a parachute jumper in my child time. I was motorcycle driver and so on. And I'm very interesting about into space. And so he wrote back a very interesting biography, give me to a standby crew, be patient and watching our announcement very carefully. But from time to time, Boris Otter contacted me because he was impressed about my biography. He have a lot of interest, but he chose me. I don't know why. He said because of my biography, EMS pilot, and I'm from a military, so I'm following rules. Um, um, and so on. And he was also a former military. And now we become friends. And it is very, very good to work with him together. And I'm very thankful because it is a really big chance to fly into the space with Boris Otter, with his team, because he gives me contacts. He gives me contacts to get my training. I have now my curve about learning about all these things is very high. Then my Facebook account is increasing up to 5,000 people. My Instagram account is increasing, and so therefore the people want to get stories. They want to get inspired. And I have no political mission. I have um, no environment mission. My only mission is to inspire people. To believe in yourself. To go on a mission. It seems to be unable to be for a success, but the to start the mission is very important. To get into the team and to try it. To try it for me is to try is success. Not to shoot is the success. To try is the success.
Yeah, that's a beautiful message for sure. And so I recently conducted, like you already know, and I already interviewed Mr. Otter, I think about a week or two ago, and he said like in order to prepare for the SST missions, he went to Moscow and he underwent cosmonaut training, zero G training. So, what sort of training have you undergone so far, or will you undergo for these missions?
To be an astronaut, it is very important to following checklists and so on, to following rules, SOP, procedures and so on. So it is very helpful to be a pilot for a mission commander or for a backup commander. So that's very authentic. I'm a pilot, so that is very authentic. I make simulator sessions and so on. And next year I have a slot, booked a slot on a zero G flight in France at 17 October on an Airbus A300. That means 15 parallel flights in a 2.5 hours. So that is my weightlessness training. And that is a fixed book training. In the springtime, I have agreement with Boris Otto to make a promotion flight and training flight with BC7 turbo trainer in Switzerland. And he also offered possibility to go for a Mercury jet trainer in Augsburg in Germany. Then when you got a seat on a rocket, included in this price is also 2 weeks training in Nesta. Nesta is the Civil Astronaut Training Center in Pennsylvania, United States of America. They are all astronauts are can training for the missions. They are not from NASA or from ESA or other institutional world space organizations. So only for private. So you got like a license, a private astronaut training license. So 0G flight, my work as a pilot, simulator training, BC7 training flights, could be weightlessness flight with sailplanes, also very good training. We have in Austria a weightlessness acrobatic trainer, sailplane trainer, in near of my base. I will make it this autumn in my holiday time. And then very important is also this centrifuge training up to 6G G-force training. So you feel the pressure of the starting procedure of the launch, also the entry procedure. You need 4 to 5 G-force positive. And then make a personal training, jogging and weights and so on. So you are fit for flight. In the civil astronaut training, there is no limit for the age, In the ESA or NASA, there is an age limit, but not civil. Civil is only the limit your personal fitness, your personal physical conditions. And so I make to be fit enough for this. And yes, so this year is to make media work, find sponsor partners, to make public interests, working with media partner like you. And next year is time for training. And then it's time for flight.
Yeah, that'll be exciting for sure. I'll keep on monitoring like the progress or update you make and the rest of the crew make. So I just have like three final questions. So like you've been a pilot for a very, very long time. You've been involved, in military operations and civil operations, and now very soon you'll be going into space as well. So, like, what sort of guidance or like maybe pearls of wisdom would you want to give to aspiring helicopter pilots or aspiring pilots in general?
Yeah, when I'm talking a lot with young people that I got also written letters via Facebook and Instagram. Young people ask me, female and male, how to become a pilot. They are impressed of my career. And I say to them, think big, think always big, and believe in yourself. And
Yeah.
and go on and go forward with your mission. Don't be a fear, don't hesitate. Try it. Not to try is not a success, but to try it is always a success. And there are so many choices in my life. I'm lucky to choose the right in the right way. So, like to go to the military, to go to the EMS operation, to join Mr. Boris Otto's team. That is not luck. It is my decision. It is a decision. So think big, believe in yourself, and make a decision, clear decision, and follow your dream.
Okay. And this is like a question. So I've had a chance to interview a U.S. Navy pilot, and I just asked him that if he were to like go back in time, would he make the same decision to join the Navy? So like if you were to go back in time and tell your 18-year-old, like talk to your 18-year-old self, like would you still make the same decision to join the military, or like would you choose something?
Yes, of course. Of course, 100%. I would go to the military because the military over the whole world is a very good place for young people to make the pilot license because the military have time, they have money, they have the equipment, and you got very well paid. So you have an existence, you can buy your car or apartment, and you can focus only on the training, and you don't have worried about your normal life. And it's a really exciting life to be a military pilot or a police pilot, whatever. For the civil pilots, it is a very hard way, because you have to spend $100,000, could be like a credit from a bank, and
Yeah.
and there's no guarantee for a job, no guarantee. And then you have to fly in US, in Canada, in Dubai, wherever you want, until you 10 or 15 years you got a really good job, like in our company. Many people from Austria are going to, as a young boy, to America, make the license, come back after 10, 15 years, and they are so happy. They have now a real good job. And I can motivate all young people. The first choice is the military. And if I would talk with my 18 years myself in the back,
Yeah.
I would 100% the same way. 100%.
Okay. So yeah, Mr. Klaus, so much. I'd like to thank you for coming on my podcast. You answered all my questions in a lot of detail, and please do stay in touch with us. And whenever you're ready to go in space, please do let me know, and I'll be very happy to maybe interview you again once you're back from your space missions. So
I
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.
I'm thankful. Thank you that you invited me, and we stay in contact with Instagram, with Facebook, and so on. I will follow you, your podcast, and so on. And I congratulations to your work. It is a very good work to interview interesting people over the world and so on. And I wish you a success of your podcast and so on. I will listen to your podcast, and I will keep you informed. I will keep you informed about our training, about our missions, could be sponsor partners. So whatever is positive going on in our missions, we keep you informed. Could be we make a next session when there is a big change in our mission profile, or we get a schedule for the weightlessness training. Could be there some interesting details about the training the audience will want to know. So please feel free and invite me whenever you want, or Boris Otto or some of our teams. You're always welcome.
Sure, sure. Yeah, thank you.